This poor brain-deprived YouTube personality has been hit pretty hard over the Ryan Hinton Rodney Hinton sagas. First, the DA has decided not to pursue charges against the cop who shot Ryan Hinton, compelling Richard here to, subtly, push for a Black Panther squadron to take out the cop. Then it appears that Richard's pet theory about a woman, instead of Rodney Hinton being the driver that killed Deputy Henderson, has fallen by the wayside. In this video, Richard entangles himself in hypocrisy that is a sight to behold. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With cold, blunt analysis cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's time for the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
Rodney Hinton Jr. appeared in court today for a motions hearing. His attorney, Clyde Bennett, and a new attorney on the case, James Bogan, are asking for all videos. In addition to body cam, there is also video from inside the police station. Prosecutors said Hinton was so agitated, so upset that family wouldn't even let him drive home that day. He came back later, picked up his car, and that's when police say he drove to the campus and ran over Hamilton County Deputy Larry Henderson. Defense has already indicated they believe Hinton had a psychotic episode triggered by seeing that body cam, and they say that's what led him to kill the deputy. The defense says there are hours of video in addition to the police station video, and those could all be important to their case.
And it was recorded at the scene, yes. Transport to the University Hospital, that was recorded. When he was at the University Hospital, when he was transported to Claremont County, when he was transported from Claremont County to the Hamilton County Jail, 1 or 2 days after this happened, all of that is relevant with respect to his mental state. I need that information ASAP.
Well, that's actually not all that relevant because he was transported to these hospitals because they thought he might have physical injuries. I seriously doubt they were thinking about having him mentally checked out. I could be wrong, but just because he was hospitalized doesn't mean he was institutionalized. For the record, it seems like the attorney is complaining that he's not getting the video evidence that he needs. They have already set a deadline for discovery. This "I need that video ASAP" comes off as underhanded to me. It looks like he's trying to play this case in the court of public opinion that the prosecution is somehow being unfair.
All right, peace and blessings, all
Here it comes.
praises to the Most High. And there you see our brother Rodney Hinton Jr. appearing in court yesterday, again answering the alleged charges of murder for the May 2nd death of Deputy Larry Henderson. If you've been watching this channel, we've been giving you extensive coverage of the case.
Yeah, but none of it's been correct.
The day before this alleged killing of the deputy, Rodney Hinton Jr.'s son, Ryan Hinton, was killed by the police. Now, they just recently came out with some findings saying that the police was justified in the killing of the young 18-year-old Ryan. We're going to break that down very soon here. And they say that is the catalyst for Rodney Hinton Jr. killing the deputy. Now,
oh, please don't break anything down. You've already done enough damage. Thanks to you, there are thousands of people out there, okay, maybe hundreds, who have a completely misguided understanding of the facts.
a couple of things about this new appearance. As you heard, the lawyer Clyde Bennett, and I've been critical of Clyde, but I see what he's doing now, so I think he's really on his A game in defense of our brother. But he's requesting a lot of the footage. He said video footage from recorded at the scene of the alleged killing of the deputy, video footage of Rodney being transported to the jail, to the hospital, from the jail, from the hospital, video footage of him watching the body cam footage of police killing his son, because he said that really is going to speak to his mental state.
Well, I think that the attorney is going to want to suppress the video of the car crashing into Deputy Henderson. As for the others, yeah, of course he wants all that video. So what? He'll get it during discovery. This is standard operating procedure.
during the time of this instance. And of course, they are going with the temporary insanity plea, so to speak, saying that he was not in his right mind. But one video that he did not mention, nor did he request, is the video of the actual killing of the deputy, of the actual running over of the deputy.
Well, there's a reason why he's probably not really making a big deal out of it. Nobody is arguing against what happened. Everyone with a brain, which excludes him and his followers, knows that Rodney drove his car into Deputy Henderson. That's not in dispute. And so, yeah, the defense attorney is probably not all that hot about getting that video. He's going to want it suppressed anyway.
I've yet to hear that there is a video of that. Now, if you recall, a few weeks ago, I was in Cincinnati and I actually visited that scene, and there are several cameras around that scene where the crash happened, whether that is cameras from the university, which is right across the street, traffic light cameras, cameras on the top of a garage, cameras on neighboring businesses. There are lots of cameras in that area, but yet and still, we never hear any talk of the presence of a video of the actual killing happen. Now, they talked about in that scenario where Rodney Hinton Jr. Was so distraught that he could not drive. Actually, they say when they left the police station the first time, the family actually drove him. They drove him. They took him to get something to eat. He went and laid down. Then he went back to get his car. He circled around, with the family in tow, they said. And that is when he allegedly went and struck the deputy. Now,
gee, weren't you pushing the idea that some woman was driving the car instead? Well, he'll talk about that here in a moment.
I received reports, and they were very, very credible reports where, people have said that he was not even the person driving that vehicle. There was.
Oh, wait, they're very, very credible, where some people have said, I mean, come on, dude. You don't know who the lady is that made this claim. You know nothing about her. She posted it on like Instagram. And that somehow makes it very, very credible. Let me put it another way. It's very, very stupid. There is no freaking way that there was somebody driving that car other than Rodney Hinton. His own lawyer is not even arguing against it. If somebody else was driving the car, don't you think his own attorney would be making some hay about that? I mean, use your... Oh, never mind.
A woman driving the vehicle. And if you look at the crime scene photos, once again, there are two doors open on that car. So, but my thing with the whole situation is...
Okay, so there were two car doors open. Yeah, okay, so the police show up at a crime scene where there is a vehicle that's all smashed up. They might want to go inside the car to look for evidence, or maybe other injured people. Maybe there's a kid in the back seat. You don't know. We're going to open up the car to go inside and look. Furthermore, it's quite possible that during a major impact, a car door might open. It has happened.
There is no video footage of the actual crash happening. So I find that hard to believe in this day and age, when there's cameras, when there's satellite cameras, when there's virtually, every time something happens, there is a video footage of it. Now, the next thing is...
Yeah, I don't think that satellite footage is going to help us here.
They said that they are trying to suppress the statement given to police by Rodney Hinton Jr. But according to the prosecutor, they're saying that there was never a statement given by Rodney Hinton Jr. So I'm not sure how, once again, the lawyer would not know that unless they are playing some cat and mouse game with him and lying to him. But
yeah, they're doing these cat and mouse games. Dude, come on. This isn't television. The prosecution is going to dump the evidence it has to the defense. And the prosecution doesn't have to play any games because they hold the aces.
I think the lawyer is actually on his top A game now. He's actually another court appearance said that he's trying to get the photos of the deputy suppressed from juries seeing it. Now, what that is going to do is that is going to prohibit the jury from being sympathetic to the deputy.
Well, we wouldn't want that. Well, Richard doesn't.
They show those photos of how horrific the damage was and how gruesome the death was to.
Yeah, all that crap, about how horrible the crime was and that sympathy crap. We don't want the jury to see that, no. And to be honest, I kind of agree with that, but hold on.
Garner sympathy from the jury. Now, if you remember in the Cal Rittenhouse case, Cal Rittenhouse was the white boy who ran across state lines and went to just shooting people randomly.
Yeah, he was just shooting people randomly. Yeah. This is the guy who's informing his audience about an important case.
Talking about he feared for his life. The judge in that case actually prohibited the lawyers and the DA from calling the victims of the crime, the people who died from his shooting, victims. He prohibited them from saying that, and that was one of the reasons why Cal Rittenhouse got off, because they were not able to garner that sympathy.
Well, wait, is sympathy good or bad? He's complaining that they weren't allowed to call the people that Kyle shot victims. So we have a self-defense case where it's not a given as to who was at fault. It could be that the defendant was in the right and that the people he shot were assailants. Or it could be that the defendant was in the wrong and the others were victims. It's really important to establish that during the trial. So not allowing those he shot to be called victims makes sense, because if you call them victims, then that implies that they were the victim of a crime, and therefore that the person who shot them was a perpetrator, guilty. And he's upset about that. He wanted Gage and Anthony and JoJo to be called victims. But when it comes to Deputy Henderson, he's all for suppressing Henderson to being called a victim, even though Deputy Henderson's culpability here is not in question. It's very clear that whoever did this, and for whatever reason, Henderson was not at fault. Therefore, calling him a victim is far less problematic. But he's upset about it. He doesn't want any of that sympathy for Henderson. Oh my God, that could taint the jury. But when it comes to Kyle Rittenhouse, he's upset that the jury wasn't allowed to be sympathetic towards the victims. This is Hypocrisy 101. And what's the difference here? Political. He wants Kyle's shootees to be called victims because Kyle was white and he perceived Kyle as a white supremacist. He doesn't want Deputy Henderson to be called a victim because Deputy Henderson was a cop. He was a white cop, and the person who killed him is a black male. And that's the only reasons why. I'm telling you, the man is as racist as they come. He's a bona fide black supremacist, just like Rashad Ritchie and Dr. Umar. I should also mention that Richard's claim that Kyle drove across state lines is obviously bunk. We all know that Kyle was already in Kenosha when the riots broke out. I would also like to point out the hilarity in thinking that Kyle got off because JoJo and Gage and Anthony were never allowed to be called victims. That never even came up. It was never an issue at all during the trial. Had nothing to do with the outcome. And of course, finally, I'd like to mention that Kyle was found not guilty. In light of that, allowing Gage and Anthony and JoJo to be called victims during the trial would have looked obscenely unjust.
From the people who were killed by this man. Oh no, you can't call them victims. Well, what else were they? So without that, constant reminder, like, hey, this guy killed somebody. he was able to get off. So I think that's what Mr. Clyde Bennett is trying to do. Say, look, don't show them photos because that's going to bias the case, which it will. I think that is a great tactic as well.
But he wasn't calling it a great tactic when the defense in the Kyle Rittenhouse case argued for not using the word victim.
So, but this trial is slated to start in January, which is very soon. Like I said, 7 months. Like, people have gone to trial and lawyers have, I'm seeing trials from 2021, 22, just being adjudicated now. Actually, Karen Reed, the white lady up in Boston who killed the police officer, she just got off right now, and that was 3 years ago. So, you have to be leery of the urgency in which they are trying to try this case. So that's always a red flag when they are trying to try a case with such fervor, with such.
If I recall, Rodney Hinton's lawyer agreed to the timeline. That was actually captured on video. He agreed to it. This is not a real sophisticated trial. We know who died and we know who did it. The only question now is about the mental capacity. It's not going to take 7 months to figure that out. So there's not a lot of forensic evidence to worry about here. And you're not going to need a lot of eyewitness testimony.
Such expediency, with such expeditiousness, that's a word. But, this is a case that we're going to keep our eye on, as stated, by the attorney and, by the articles that, Mr. Bennett is once again claiming that his client was not in his right mind, which, may be so. But once again, I still feel like that he may not have done this. And just looking at my brother, he does not seem that, he is still in his right mind. Speaking to his brother and his family members, there's a level of concern from him. And hopefully, once again, he will come out on the best side of this.
Now, there is temporary insanity, okay? So he saw the cop. Maybe he got triggered by seeing the cop, and for a moment, he had no idea what he's doing. However, in court, he clearly shows no remorse whatsoever for what he did, as I covered in a recent video. But, okay, we'll see. Quite frankly, I think Rodney Hinton just simply sought revenge. This was not a matter of temporary insanity. He just wanted to get even. And he killed a person who didn't even work for the same department. Never mind the same person. If Rodney had killed the actual police officer that did it, then I could at least see an argument there. Okay, yeah, I get it. That doesn't necessarily excuse it, but it makes sense. And during sentencing, yeah, you could take that into account. He killed some cop who had no involvement whatsoever, didn't even work for the same department. Like my video and subscribe to my channel.